Welcome back to the Easy Speak podcast. I am so glad you are here today.
Yes, welcome everyone. If this is your first time listening, you've found the right place. We are here to help you improve your English through calm, natural conversations.
That is exactly right. And today's topic is one that I think a lot of English learners think about, maybe even every day.
I think so too, because when we asked our listeners what their biggest challenge was, so many people said the same thing.
They said, I always translate in my head first. I think in my language, then I try to say it in English.
And by the time they figure out how to say it, the moment has passed. Or they feel nervous. Or they just give up.
Right, that moment of hesitation, that little pause, that is what we are going to talk about today.
We are going to explore this idea of thinking in English, what it means, why it matters, and most importantly, how you can actually start doing it.
And we will do it the way we always do here. Just a relaxed conversation, no pressure, no grammar rules, just real talk.
So make yourself comfortable. Maybe you're on a walk right now or sitting with a cup of tea. Whatever you are doing, we are happy you are listening.
Let us get into it.
So let me start with a question. When did you first notice that you were translating in your head?
Oh, that is a good question. For me, I remember very clearly. I was in a conversation with someone, and they asked me something simple, like, what did you do this weekend?
Such a normal question.
Completely normal, but I froze for a second. Because in my mind, I started thinking in my first language. I thought about what I did. Then I tried to find the right words in English. And by the time I said something, it felt slow. It felt unnatural.
That is such a familiar feeling. I think almost every language learner goes through that.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing is, it is not because you do not know English. You might know hundreds or thousands of words. You might understand grammar well.
But there is a gap between knowing the language and using the language automatically.
Exactly. And that gap is what we are talking about today. The space between your native language and the moment you speak in English.
So let us actually define this a little. What does it mean to think in English? Like, what does that actually look like?
Good question. So, thinking in English means that when an idea comes into your mind, the first words that come with it are English words, not words from your native language that you then translate.
So instead of having a thought in, let us say, Spanish or Arabic or Korean, and then converting it to English, the thought already arrives in English.
Right. Your brain skips the translation step completely. The idea and the English words come together at the same time.
That sounds amazing, but also kind of hard to imagine if you've never experienced it.
It does. But here's something interesting. You probably already do this in some areas.
What do you mean?
Well, think about simple things. When you look at a chair, what word comes to your mind? Not a sentence, just a word. Is it the word in your language or is it chair?
Actually, for me now, it depends on the situation. If I am in an English environment or thinking about English, I think chair. If I am at home in a more relaxed moment, I might think in my own language first.
And that tells us something important. Thinking in English is not a switch that is always on or always off. It is something that develops gradually. And it develops more in certain situations than others.
That is actually really reassuring. Because I think a lot of learners feel like either I think in English or I do not. Like there is no middle ground.
But there is so much middle ground. And that middle ground is where learning happens.
Okay, so let us talk about why this matters so much. Why is thinking in your native language a problem when you want to speak English?
So the main reason is speed. When you think in your native language first and then translate, it takes time. Your brain is doing two jobs at once.
First, finding the idea or the feeling or the information in your native language.
And then second, converting that into English words, grammar, pronunciation. All of that is happening while the other person is waiting for you to speak.
And real conversations do not wait very long.
No, they do not. In a natural conversation, there is a rhythm. People take turns speaking. There are short pauses, but not very long ones. And when there is a very long pause, it starts to feel uncomfortable.
I know that feeling. You feel like everyone is watching you, waiting, and that makes the anxiety worse.
Yes, and anxiety then makes the translation even slower. Because now part of your brain is also managing the stress.
So you have three things happening at once: thinking in your native language, translating, and managing your emotions.
Exactly. No wonder it feels so hard. You are not bad at English. You are just asking your brain to do too many things at the same time.
That is a really helpful way to see it. I want to talk about that idea of vocabulary for a second because you used a great phrase just now. You said managing your emotions. Let us look at that word, managing.
Oh, I like that we are doing this. So, managing. To manage something means to handle it or control it. It comes from the idea of being in charge of something.
So if you manage your emotions, you are trying to keep your emotions under control, especially in a difficult moment.
Yes, and we manage lots of things in daily life. We manage our time, we manage our money, we manage our energy.
You could say, I'm trying to manage my schedule this week, meaning I'm trying to organize and control how I use my time.
Exactly. And in the context of English learning, managing your anxiety means you are learning to work through it, not just avoid it.
Managing, I like that word. It sounds active, like you are doing something about the problem, not just waiting for it to go away.
That is a great observation. Okay, so back to our conversation. We talked about why translation slows you down. Now let us talk about something deeper. Why does the brain translate in the first place?
Right. It is not like the brain is trying to make things difficult, it is doing what it knows.
Exactly. Your native language is your first and most automatic system. You have been using it your whole life. Every emotion, every memory, every relationship was built through that language.
So the brain trusts it more.
Yes, when you need to express something important or something emotional, the brain goes back to what it knows best. The native language. It feels safe there.
That is interesting because I feel like when I am talking about casual things, like the weather or what I am eating, English comes more easily.
Right, because those are simple, low-pressure topics. But the moment something becomes emotionally important or complex or urgent, the native language pulls you back.
Like if you are angry or scared or excited.
Yes, strong emotions tend to activate your first language because that is where your emotional vocabulary lives.
So part of learning to think in English is actually building emotional vocabulary in English. Not just knowing the word for angry, but actually feeling it in English. Experiencing it.
Exactly. And that takes time. But it happens. Especially if you are spending a lot of time in English environments, watching English content, listening to English conversations.
Like right now, listening to this podcast.
Like right now. Every time you listen, your brain is creating small connections. Little pathways between English words and the feelings and ideas behind them.
I love that image. Little pathways like tiny roads being built in your brain.
Yes, and the more you travel those roads, the stronger and faster they become.
Okay, so let us talk about something practical, because I know a lot of our listeners are asking themselves right now, okay, but how do I actually start doing this? How do I start thinking in English?
Great, let us get into that. And I want to say first that this is a process. It does not happen overnight. But there are real things you can do that make a difference.
Where do you start?
I think the most powerful place to start is with your inner voice, because most people do not realize how much they talk to themselves during the day.
The inner voice, that running commentary inside your head.
Exactly. Right now, as you're listening to us, there is probably a little voice in your head processing what we are saying. Maybe agreeing or disagreeing. Maybe thinking of a question.
And for most learners, that voice speaks in their native language.
Right. So the first step is to gently start shifting that inner voice toward English. Not all at once, not perfectly, just a little at a time.
Can you give an example of what that looks like?
Sure. Let us say you wake up in the morning. Instead of thinking something like, "Oh, I am so tired," in your own language, you try to think it in English. Even if it is simple. "Oh, I am tired. It is cold today. I need coffee."
So just narrating your day in English, even in your head.
Yes, you are not writing anything. You are not speaking out loud, although that also helps. You are just describing your world in English inside your mind.
That actually sounds kind of fun. Like you are the narrator of your own life.
I love that. You are the narrator of your own life, and your life is an English podcast.
I am going to start doing that. Okay, so that is the inner voice. What else?
Another really powerful practice is labeling your environment. So when you look around the room you are in, try to think of the English names for things.
Like, I see a window, I see a table, I see a lamp.
Exactly. And then you can go further. I see a dusty lamp. I see a small window with curtains. Now you are using adjectives. Now you are building sentences.
That is actually a great listening exercise, too. Because right now, listeners can pause and try to describe the room they are in using English.
Yes, even 10 or 15 seconds of that is practice. Every small effort adds up.
I want to pause on another word you just used. Narrating. You said you were narrating your day. Let us look at that word.
Oh yes, to narrate. This means to describe something that is happening, usually as it happens, or to tell a story from a certain point of view.
So, a narrator is the person who tells the story. In a movie or audiobook, the narrator is the voice that explains what is happening.
And in your life, you are the narrator. You are the one describing and making sense of your own experiences.
Narrate. Narrator. Narration. They are all from the same root.
Yes, and they all come from the Latin word for knowing or telling. The idea of passing information through a story.
I like that connection. So, if you are narrating your day in English, you are practicing the language while also making sense of your life.
Two things at once, and this time in a good way.
Exactly. Okay, let us keep going. We talked about the inner voice and labeling your environment. What is another approach?
One thing that I think is underrated is dreaming in English. Not literal dreams, although that does happen for some people. But I mean daydreaming.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
So most people daydream throughout the day. You are in a meeting and your mind wanders. You are on public transport and you start imagining things. You are in the shower and suddenly you are planning a conversation.
Yes, I have definitely rehearsed arguments in the shower.
Everyone does, and most people do that in their native language, but you can choose to do it in English.
So, if you are imagining a conversation you need to have, imagine it in English. Practice the words and phrases in your mind before the real moment comes.
Exactly. And here's the beautiful thing. Your brain does not know the difference between a real conversation and an imagined one in terms of building language pathways.
Really?
The same neural connections are formed when you rehearse a conversation in your head as when you actually have it, so mental practice counts.
That is such good news. Because sometimes you cannot practice speaking with another person. But you can always practice inside your own mind.
Always, anytime, anywhere.
Okay, let us talk about something that I think is really connected to this topic. And that is the role of emotions in language. Because I feel like this is something not many people talk about.
Yes, I am so glad you are bringing this up, because I think it is one of the most important and most overlooked parts of language learning.
So why do emotions matter so much for thinking in English?
Because language is not just information. It is not just a system of rules. Language is how we feel, how we connect, how we express who we are.
And if all your feelings are tied to your native language, then English feels a bit hollow, like a shell without the warmth inside.
That is a beautiful way to put it. Yes, when you learn a language only through textbooks and grammar exercises, the words are there, but the feeling is not.
So how do you put feeling into English?
You connect it to your real life. You use English to process your actual emotions, not just hypothetical ones.
Give me an example of that.
Okay, let us say you had a frustrating day. Instead of thinking about it in your native language, try to think about it in English. Try to describe what happened, how it made you feel, what you wish had gone differently.
Even if it is imperfect?
Especially if it is imperfect. Because perfection is not the goal. Connection is the goal. You are connecting your real feelings to English words.
That is actually quite brave in a way. Because your feelings are personal, and expressing them in a language that does not feel natural yet takes courage.
It really does. And I think that bravery is part of what makes people fluent. Not just studying harder, but being willing to feel in another language.
I like that phrase, feeling in another language.
Yes, and over time, those feelings start to have English words attached to them. And those words start to feel real, not just correct.
Let us take a moment and talk about a word you use there. Fluent, or fluency. Because I know it is a goal for many learners, but I am not sure everyone knows what it really means.
Oh, this is such an important one. So fluent or fluency comes from the Latin word for flow, to flow.
Like water flowing.
Exactly. When we say someone is fluent in a language, we mean the language flows naturally. It is not blocked. It is not stop and start. It moves smoothly.
So fluency is not about being perfect, it is about being smooth.
Yes, a fluent speaker makes mistakes sometimes. But the language still flows. They do not freeze. They do not stop every sentence to think.
That is really helpful because I think a lot of people confuse fluency with perfection. They think, I need to be perfect before I can be fluent.
But it is actually the opposite. You have to be willing to be imperfect so that you can become fluent. If you stop every time you make a mistake, the flow breaks.
Fluency, fluent, flow, all connected.
All connected and all available to you, no matter what level you are at right now.
Okay, so we have talked about the inner voice, daydreaming, labeling your environment, connecting emotions to English. Let us talk about something that comes up a lot, and that is the fear of making mistakes.
Oh yes, this one.
Because I feel like this is one of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in translation mode. They translate first because they want to make sure what they say is correct before they say it.
That is such a clear way to see it. The translation is actually a safety net.
Right? If I translate first, I can check it before I speak. I can make sure it sounds right.
But the cost of that safety net is speed and spontaneity and real connection.
So the question is, how do you let go of that safety net?
I think the first thing is to challenge the belief underneath it. The belief that making a mistake is dangerous.
Because in most conversations, it is not.
In most conversations, the other person wants to understand you. They are not grading you. They are not judging every word you use.
Unless you're in a formal test situation or a job interview.
Right, and even then, fluency and confidence often impress more than perfect grammar.
I have heard that from people who have done job interviews in English. They said the interviewers were more impressed by someone who spoke confidently and clearly, even with some small errors, than someone who spoke perfectly but sounded robotic or hesitant.
Because communication is not about impressing people with your grammar, it is about making a real connection, about being understood.
And being understood requires clarity and confidence, not perfection.
Exactly. So when you let go of the need to be perfect, the translation step becomes less necessary. Because you are no longer checking your English before you speak. You are just speaking.
That leap of faith.
Yes, a small leap, but an important one.
I want to share something here because I think it connects really well to what we are discussing. I've talked to many English learners over the years, and one thing that comes up often is this feeling of having a different personality in English.
Oh, tell me more. I find this so fascinating.
So some people say, in my own language, I am funny, confident, expressive, but in English, I feel quiet and flat, like a different version of myself.
And that is real. That is not just in their imagination.
It is not, because language is so tied to identity. When you speak your native language, you have a full toolkit. All the expressions, the humor, the subtle ways of saying things.
But in a second language, especially in the early stages, your toolkit is smaller. You cannot always say what you want to say the way you want to say it.
So you end up saying simpler things, or saying nothing at all. And people might think you are shy or quiet when really you're just working with limited tools.
That experience is so common, and it can be discouraging because you feel like you have lost part of who you are.
But here's the other side of it. Many people also say that as their English improved, something interesting happened.
What?
They did not just get their original personality back, they developed a new layer, a new version of themselves that only exists in English.
Oh, I love that. A whole new identity that comes with the language.
Yes, different in some ways, maybe more direct, maybe calmer, maybe more confident. Because in the new language, you do not carry all the same old habits and insecurities.
You get to start fresh in a way.
Exactly, the new language is a fresh canvas.
That is such a hopeful way to think about it. And I think it connects directly to our topic. Because if English is a fresh canvas, then thinking in English is like painting with new colors. You are not just copying a picture that already exists in your native language. You are creating something new.
And that is what real language use feels like. When you are not just translating, you are creating, you are expressing, you are being.
Yes, being in the language, not just using it as a tool.
That is the shift. From seeing English as a tool to translate your thoughts, to seeing it as a space where your thoughts are born.
A space where your thoughts are born. I am writing that down.
Let us take a short moment here because I want to talk about something very practical. Because all of this is beautiful and philosophical, but listeners also need real strategies. So let us get concrete.
Yes, let us talk about daily habits. Because I think thinking in English is something you build through small daily habits, not through one big effort.
I agree. So what are the daily habits you would recommend?
The first one we already talked about, the inner voice practice. Every morning, just for a few minutes, try to think your first thoughts in English. It can be as simple as today is Tuesday. I'm feeling a bit tired. I need to drink water.
Simple, present, real.
Yes. And the reason morning is good is because your mind is fresh. It has not been flooded yet with the busyness of the day. It is a clean moment.
Like warming up before exercise.
Exactly. You are warming up your English brain before the day begins.
Okay, what is the second habit?
The second habit is what I call English anchoring, and this is about connecting certain moments in your day to English.
Like triggers.
Yes, triggers or anchors. So you choose a few regular activities, and you decide that those activities always happen in English.
Can you give examples?
Sure. Maybe your morning coffee is an English moment. While you make it or drink it, you think in English or listen to English. Maybe your evening walk is an English walk. Maybe a certain meal every week is an English meal, where you describe the food in English as you eat.
So instead of trying to do everything in English all the time, which is exhausting, you create specific pockets of English throughout your day.
Exactly. And those pockets add up. If you have 3 or 4 strong English anchors every day, you are spending meaningful time in the English mindset every single day.
Without having to force it in every moment.
Without forcing it, it becomes part of your routine, natural and sustainable.
I like the idea of sustainable. Let us look at that word for a moment. Sustainable.
Yes, sustainable means something you can keep doing over a long time. Without burning out, without quitting.
So a sustainable habit is one that fits your life, not one that feels like a punishment.
Exactly. Many language learners push themselves very hard for a short time and then stop completely. That is not sustainable.
Better to do a little every day for months and years.
Much better. Small and consistent beats big and temporary every time.
Sustainable. So when someone asks how you are learning English, you can say, I am building sustainable habits. A little bit every day.
And that is actually more impressive than saying I studied for 10 hours last weekend.
10 hours one day and then nothing for a month.
Yes, the brain learns through repetition over time, not through one big effort.
Okay, what is the third daily habit?
The third habit is what I call micro conversations. These are very short conversations you have with yourself in English about real things happening in your day.
So not memorized phrases, real things.
Real things. So let us say something happens at work. A meeting does not go the way you hoped. Instead of processing that in your native language, you try to think through it in English. What happened? How did I feel? What would I do differently?
Like a mini diary, but inside your head.
Yes, a mental diary in English. And this is powerful because you are using English to think about real and meaningful things, not just textbook situations.
And it builds emotional vocabulary like we talked about earlier.
Exactly, because real situations bring real feelings. And you start to find the English words for those feelings. And when you find them, they stay with you because they are connected to something real.
I want to add something here, because I think there is also a role for consuming English content in this process, not just producing it.
Absolutely, yes.
So listening to podcasts like this one, watching films and shows in English, reading English books or articles, all of this helps build the raw material for thinking in English.
Because you cannot think in a language you have not heard. The more you hear natural English, the more your brain starts to absorb the rhythm and patterns of it.
And then when you try to think in English, you are not starting from nothing. You have all this input stored inside you.
Yes, the listening is like building the warehouse. And thinking in English is like using the things in the warehouse.
I love that image. You are filling the warehouse first.
And the more you fill it, the more easily you can use what is inside.
So listening to English every day, even passively, is not wasted time.
It is never wasted time. Your brain is always processing, always filing, always making connections.
Even when you are not consciously trying to learn.
Even while you sleep, your brain is consolidating what it heard during the day.
That is actually remarkable. The brain works so hard on language even without us telling it to.
It is an incredible system, and it just needs the right input to work with.
Okay, I want to shift gears a little bit, because we have been talking about what to do, but I also want to talk about what to stop doing, because I think there are some habits that actually get in the way of thinking in English.
Yes, this is so important. Sometimes it is not about adding new habits, it is about removing the ones that are blocking you.
So what would you say is the biggest habit to let go of?
Honestly, dictionary addiction.
Oh, interesting. Tell me what you mean.
So many learners, when they encounter a word they do not know, immediately stop and look it up in their native language, and they translate it.
Which seems like the logical thing to do.
It does, but every time you do that, you are reinforcing the habit of going through your native language to understand English. You are building a bridge that goes English to my language back to English.
Instead of just going straight from English to meaning.
Exactly, and there is a better way. When you encounter a new word, try to guess the meaning from context first. Use the surrounding words and the situation to figure out what it might mean.
And if you cannot guess,
then look it up in an English dictionary, not a translation dictionary. An English definition. Something like, this word means the feeling of being very tired after a long effort.
so you're learning the word in English, not as a translation?
Right. And then you connect it to an example, an image, a feeling. Not to a word in another language.
That changes the way the word is stored in your brain.
It does. Instead of being stored as equals, sign my language word, it is stored as its own living thing, with its own meaning.
I'd like that. Words as living things, not just labels.
Each word has a personality, a feeling, a context where it lives.
And when you start to feel that about English words, that is when you know you are starting to think in English.
Yes, that is the moment.
Okay, what is another habit to let go of?
Another one is over preparing before speaking. This is connected to what we talked about before, the safety net. Some people will mentally write a whole sentence in their head before they say it.
Which takes forever.
It does. And by the time they say it, the conversation has moved on, or the other person has filled the silence with something else.
So the advice is to speak before you are ready?
In a gentle way, yes. To trust that your English is good enough to start speaking, and that the right words will often come as you speak, not before.
That is interesting, because when native speakers talk, they often figure out what they're going to say as they say it.
Exactly. Native speakers do not have the full sentence ready before they open their mouths. The sentence builds as they speak. And that is how fluent speech works.
So by starting to speak before everything is ready, you are actually imitating the natural process.
You are training your brain to generate language in real time. And the more you do it, the better you get at it.
There might be more mistakes at first.
There will be. And that is okay, because mistakes are the evidence that you are trying, and trying is how you improve.
I want to share a quote that I always find helpful here. I do not know who said it first, but it goes something like, "You do not stop making mistakes when you become fluent. You become fluent when you stop stopping yourself because of mistakes."
Oh, that is a wonderful way to say it. You become fluent when you stop stopping yourself.
Yes, the fluency does not come first, the courage comes first, and fluency follows.
Courage, that is actually a beautiful word to talk about in this context. Let us look at it.
Courage, yes.
Courage comes from the Latin word for heart. So to have courage means to act from the heart, even when there is fear.
So being courageous is not the same as being fearless.
Not at all. Courage is doing the thing, even though you are afraid. A person without fear does not need courage. Courage is for the people who feel the fear and go ahead anyway.
I love that distinction. Because many learners feel afraid when they speak English. Afraid of judgment, afraid of making mistakes, afraid of sounding stupid.
And if we said, just stop being afraid, that would not be very helpful.
Not at all.
But if we say, be courageous, that means we acknowledge the fear. We say, yes, this is scary, and you are going to do it anyway.
That is a much more honest and empowering message.
Fear is part of the process. Courage is what moves you through it.
Courage from the heart.
Beautiful.
Okay, let us talk about something that I think a lot of our listeners face in their real lives, and that is the challenge of switching between languages. So, if you are someone who uses 2 or more languages every day, it can be hard to stay in English mode.
Yes, this is the experience of bilingual or multilingual people, and it is a very specific challenge.
So, you might be speaking English at work, but then you go home and everything switches back to your family language. And the next morning, you have to switch back to English again.
And those switches can be really disorienting. Your brain has to shift gears completely.
Exactly. And some people find that after a long time speaking their native language, it takes a while to get back into English mode.
That is called code switching, by the way. The practice of moving between 2 languages, sometimes even within the same conversation.
And code switching is actually normal and even impressive. It shows that your brain can manage multiple language systems.
Yes, it is not a sign of weakness. But for English learners who are trying to build the habit of thinking in English, frequent code switching can slow that process.
So, what can you do if your environment switches a lot between languages?
A few things. One is to create clear boundaries. Certain times or certain spaces are English spaces, and in those spaces, you commit to English.
So, maybe your workspace is English, or your study time, or even just your morning routine.
Right, you do not need to live in English 24 hours a day, but you create dedicated English zones. And inside those zones, you stay in English.
And the key is consistency. the same zones every day so your brain learns to shift into English mode when you enter those zones.
Exactly. Over time, entering that zone is like a signal to your brain. English mode on.
I like that, like a light switch for your language brain.
And it does not have to be perfect. If you slip into your native language sometimes, that is okay. You just gently notice it and come back.
No punishment, no judgment, just awareness and return.
Always. Self compassion is so important in language learning because it is a long journey, and beating yourself up only makes it slower.
Let us talk about that word, self compassion, because I think it is a word that does not always get the attention it deserves in education.
Yes, so compassion means a kind and caring feeling towards someone who is struggling. You see their difficulty and you want to help, and you do not judge them for struggling.
And self compassion is turning that same feeling toward yourself.
Right. Being kind to yourself when you make mistakes. Recognizing that learning is hard and that difficulty is normal and that you deserve patience.
So instead of thinking, I am so stupid, I made that mistake again, you think that was hard. I am still learning. I will try again.
Exactly. And research actually shows that people who practice self compassion learn faster and are more resilient. Because when they make a mistake, they do not spiral into shame. They just acknowledge it and move on.
That is the productive response to a mistake. Acknowledge and move on.
Yes, not ignore, not pretend it did not happen, but also not dwell, not punish, not catastrophize.
Acknowledge and move on. I think that is actually one of the most useful phrases for English learners.
For learners and for humans in general,
Fair point.
let us talk about something that I want to spend a little time on. And that is the experience of listening to yourself in English.
Oh, this is interesting. What do you mean by that?
So, one of the things I recommend to learners is to record themselves speaking in English, even just a few sentences, and then listen back.
A lot of people find that uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. Most people do not like the sound of their own voice in any language, and in English, it feels even more exposed.
But there is real value in it.
Real value, because when you listen to yourself, you notice things that you do not notice while you are speaking. The places where you hesitate, the words you avoid, the patterns in how you speak.
And that awareness is the starting point for improvement.
Yes, you cannot improve what you cannot see, or in this case, hear.
So the advice is to regularly record yourself, maybe talking about your day, or describing something, or answering a question.
And then listen with kindness, not looking for everything wrong, but listening for what is working too, because there will be things that work well.
And celebrating those is just as important as improving the weaker parts.
Absolutely. You might notice, wow, I use that phrase really naturally, or my pronunciation of that word has really improved. Those are real victories.
And when you can hear your own progress, it keeps you motivated. It makes the journey feel real.
Language learning can feel invisible sometimes, like you are working and nothing is changing. But when you hear a recording from 6 months ago and you compare it to today, you can hear the difference.
That is such a good idea. Archive your recordings, keep them so you can look back.
Yes, your past recordings are proof of your progress. And on the hard days, when you feel like you are not improving, you can go back and listen, and you will hear how far you have come.
That is actually quite moving. Because language learning is a very personal journey. It is not just about words, it is about growth.
It is about growth, and growth is not always visible in the moment, but it is always there, underneath the surface, quietly happening.
I want to come back to one thing we touched on earlier, and that is the idea of immersion. Because many people say the best way to learn a language is to immerse yourself in it. Live in an English speaking country, surround yourself with English.
And that is true. Immersion is powerful.
But most of our listeners do not live in English speaking countries. They are learning English at home, in their own communities, surrounded by their native language.
And so the question is, can you create immersion without actually going anywhere?
Can you?
I think you can. Not 100%, but you can get very close. And the key is to make English the default in as many areas of your life as possible.
So, changing your phone language to English,
Yes, changing your phone, your computer, your social media so that the interface language you interact with every day is English.
watching films and series in English, not with subtitles in your native language.
And this one is hard for some people at first because you miss things. You feel like you are losing something.
But you gain so much more.
You do. Because when you watch with your native language subtitles, your eyes go to the text automatically. And then you are reading your language, not listening to English.
Your brain takes the easy path.
Always. The brain is efficient. It will use the path that requires the least effort. So, if the native language text is there, it will use it.
So, to force the brain to listen in English, you remove the easy path.
You remove the shortcut. And then the brain has no choice but to engage with the English audio.
And English subtitles are okay?
English subtitles are much better than native language subtitles because you are still in English. Both what you hear and what you read is in English.
And over time, you rely on the subtitles less.
Yes, you start to find that you understand without needing to read. And that is a beautiful milestone.
The day you realize you're watching a film in English and not reading the subtitles at all,
Yes, you almost feel surprised. When did this happen? And the answer is gradually, through all those hours of listening.
okay, I want to move into the final part of our conversation today. Because we have covered so much ground, and I want to bring it all together.
Yes, let us do a gentle summary. And then I want to leave our listeners with something to reflect on.
So, we started by talking about why translation slows you down. That doing two things at once, thinking in your language and then converting to English, creates hesitation and anxiety.
And we talked about why the brain does this. Because the native language is safe, it is familiar, and it is tied to your emotions and your identity in deep ways.
But we also said that thinking in English is learnable. It is a habit, not a talent, and it develops gradually through small, consistent practices.
We talked about the inner voice, starting to shift the way you talk to yourself inside your head, slowly, gently toward English.
We talked about labeling your environment, narrating your day, daydreaming in English, building emotional vocabulary.
We talked about letting go of the need to be perfect before you speak, and trusting that the words will often come as you start talking, not before.
We talked about sustainable habits, English anchors throughout your day, small pockets of English that build up over time.
We talked about consuming English content deeply, filling the warehouse of language that your thinking can draw from.
We talked about self compassion. Because the journey is long and imperfect, and being kind to yourself is not optional, it is essential.
And we talked about the deeper shift, from seeing English as a translation tool to seeing it as a space where your thoughts are born, a fresh canvas, a new way of being.
That is the real transformation. Not just speaking better, but existing differently in the language.
Yes, becoming someone who lives in English, even a little bit, not just visits it when necessary.
That is a wonderful way to end.
And I want to ask our listeners one question before we close. Just something to sit with today or this week.
Yes,
The question is this: what is one moment in your day that you could turn into an English moment? It does not have to be big. Maybe it is your morning coffee. Maybe it is the bus ride to work. Maybe it is 5 minutes before you sleep.
choose one moment, just one, and commit to making it an English moment for the next week and see what happens.
Let us know in the comments. We read every comment. And hearing about your experience really motivates us to keep making these conversations for you.
And if this episode was helpful to you, please share it with someone who is also learning English. Because the best thing about language is that it is always better when you share it.
That is so true. Language connects people, and the more people you can share it with, the more alive it becomes.
Before we close, I want to say something to everyone listening. Learning a language is one of the most courageous things a person can do. You are crossing a bridge between two worlds, between two ways of thinking, feeling, and being.
And that bridge is not always easy. There are days when it feels impossible, days when you feel like you are not making progress, days when you want to give up.
On those days, remember why you started. Remember the person you are becoming through this work. And remember that every great speaker you admire once sat where you are sitting right now.
They were confused, they were nervous, they made mistakes, and they kept going anyway, and so can you.
So keep going,
Keep listening,
keep speaking,
even imperfectly.
especially imperfectly.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. This is the Easy Speak podcast, and we are so grateful you are here.
We will be back again very soon with another conversation designed to help you grow in English. Until then, take care of yourself.
Take care of your English.
And remember, every word you learn, every sentence you speak, every moment you choose English, it counts.
It all counts.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye and keep going.